Okay. All right. Well, welcome everyone to Ladies Who Launch. Today's May 19th. We made it to May 19th, everyone. Oh my goodness. I'm Tammy Hischke, Executive Director to Ladies Who Launch. Today's May 19th. We made it to May 19th, everyone. Oh my goodness. I'm Tammy Hischke, Executive Director. Nope. Is it coming in through someone else's? I've got my phone off, my iPad's off, it's just me. Tech, the world of tech. Okay, I think I don't hear my echo anymore. So I think we're good, right? We'll rewind. Okay, we're back. This is Ladies Who Launch. Another bonus edition in May. So one of the advantages, I guess, of this crazy time is we get to do different things and sometimes more of them because we are all at home or venturing out slowly. So if you are new at Ladies Who Launch today, welcome. We typically meet in person, and it's a great group of 75 ladies, always different every month. And we feature women who are in arts and business. So as part of arts advocacy, our goal is to elevate the conversation of the arts and make sure that it's at the same level as all the different sectors. So in this particular program, it's always about arts and business. We usually feature one woman full-time in the arts and another one full-time in business. And as you can imagine, there are actually a lot of similarities and correlations, so we talk about that. But we also talk about the women behind all of what they do, because that's the reality, right? We have lots of hats that we wear, but we are who we are on the inside, and we've been that same soul since we were little, and we evolve with time and with the different roles. But I love hearing about the inspirations and the journeys behind all the ladies. So I hope you will take away something today. I'm sure it'll bring a smile to your face. We've got some exciting, even a breathing exercise at the end with our two guests. We have Julie Blackstock, who is the orchestra director at Liberty High School, and we have the owner of Barre3 Frisco, Tammy Hischke. So they'll be joining us a little later in the program. But the format today is that I'll share some announcements from Frisco Arts. We'll hear from our presenting sponsor, Lori McCagran, and we'll get into our panel discussion. Since we are Facebook Live, you can definitely write in your comments and we'll try to catch those and any questions that you have and address them as they come. So big thanks to Anthony Barocas, who is our live stream producer. Anthony is with stream4.us. or US. If you're interested in having your organization have a live stream, this is the guy you want to talk to. Thanks, Anthony. Okay, so as far as announcements, our first one is called the Arts Exchange. And, you know, when you think about what coronavirus, this whole pandemic has done for the arts community, it's been very, very difficult. The arts sector has been hit really hard. So how do we create a safe way to engage people in the arts? And, you know, everyone is dealing with these questions and you're not alone. So we want to have a conversation with our our arts family members at Plano Arts Coalition on Thursday. We'll be joined by some folks from their coalition and also Michelle Hawkins, who's the Arts and Events Manager for the City of Plano. And we'll be talking about the arts and how it functions in our respective communities and also how we move forward in this unique post-COVID-19 environment. So join us live, Facebook live on Thursday at noon for that conversation. And then after that, on Tuesday of next week, May 26th, we have our next Smart Men Spotlight. We have a very special guest. He's the #1 New York Times bestselling author of The Monuments Men, Robert M. Edsall. We're so honored to have him. He's the founder of the Monuments Men Foundation for the Preservation of Art. And his book was actually the basis of the movie The Monuments Men, directed by George Clooney. He worked closely with, George Clooney on this movie, and I actually just watched it recently just to get a full background. It's really, really good. So I totally recommend watching it before we have the conversation with Robert. We'll be talking about his lifelong passion for rescuing lost art, his books, travels, inspiration, and everything. So join us live on Facebook next Tuesday at noon. And then our last announcement is, we got to have a little fun. So we are turning your cabin fever into disco fever. So join us the very next day, Wednesday, the 27th at 5 p.m. for our virtual 70s music and trivia quarantini. So grab your favorite beverage. We'll enjoy some trivia and games based on our favorite grooves. So you can register for that at friscoarts.org, and you'll get the secure Zoom info once you register. So I want to bring up our presenting sponsor, Lori McCagran with Union Home Mortgage. She has been a huge supporter of this program from the very, very beginning when we were meeting in a restaurant and got kicked out. So because we were overwhelming the restaurant, that's why it was welcome, Lori, and thanks again for being with us today.
Hey, how are you? Yeah, those were fun days trying to scout out where are we going to hold our meeting. And then we were so lucky to have Crest in our community where we could just kind of have the same place and same time and not have to worry about wait staff and just get to enjoy each other in our meetings. So it's been a fun road. Our group actually got picked up. Since we can go virtual, I've been able to share the feed with my friends all over the country. And one of my friends runs a women's speaker, and she listened in and then asked me to do a podcast about Ladies Who Launch so that other people can start it in their communities. So I'll be excited to see if our group grows across the country based on having to go or getting to go Facebook Live so that we can still meet and, like you said, meet more often. So I'm Lori McCagran with Union Home Mortgage. I'm the producing area manager and proud sponsor of Ladies Who Launch because I just love the little hour of inspiration and soul nurturing that we get in our time when we do get to meet. And lately I've had a lot of questions from people wondering, with all the coronavirus and the craziness in the stock market and whatnot, what has happened in the mortgage world. And I'm really happy to report that for most cases, it's business as usual. I've had some realtors even ask me, gosh, do people have to put 20% down now? Or, are the qualification guidelines more strict? And they're really not. Our company hasn't really seen any changes. And we're still writing lots of loans. And the Frisco real estate market seems to be very healthy. All the people that I'm helping in the Frisco area, have sold their homes very quickly or been in multiple offer situations for where they want to buy. So that is definitely good news and another reason why we're so proud to call Frisco home.
Wonderful. Well, it's really good to know that the housing market is still strong and that people are still buying. And, I know for me personally, eventually we're going to have to downsize. So keep moving up. This is a good thing. But anyway, regarding just, your support, and I listened to the podcast. I thought it was great. So thanks for sharing that with your whole Union Home Mortgage sisters. And it would be really cool to grow everywhere else and start from Frisco.
Yes.
So thanks so much, Lori, for joining us. And if you ever need any help with mortgages, she is the person to go to. So contact Lori. All right, well, we're going to move to our panel now, give you some information on each of them before we bring them on. So Julie Blackstock is our first guest. She is a cellist and the orchestra director at Liberty High School. She's been there since 2014. She graduated from Baylor University with a Bachelors of Music Ed with an emphasis in cello. She serves as the Region 24 Orchestra Chair for the Texas Music Educators Association and is the Orchestra Lead for the Frisco ISD. She judges around the state of Texas and the Region Clinician and Conductor. So we're so excited to have Julie and talk with her. We also have Tammy Hischke, who is the owner of Barre3 Frisco. She also graduated from Baylor University in Health and Wellness and worked for Club Corp in Waco, Austin, and New Orleans. She's been a personal trainer and a Pilates instructor. health and wellness coach, and she's been the owner of Barre3 Frisco since 2014 in Frisco Square. So thank you, ladies, for being with us. Both Baylor Bears, yay!
Surprisingly, yes.
Yes, and my daughter attends Baylor, so I definitely have a green and yellow, right? Green and gold heart.
Green and gold.
Green and gold. So we're gonna talk about a lot of things today, but I guess first we want to start with where are you originally from and how did you end up in Frisco? So Julie, let's start with you. Tell us that.
I'm from Temple, Texas, and Central Texas, right below Waco, between Waco and Austin. And I went to Baylor University right after I graduated from high school. And I interviewed shortly right after graduation for Carrollton Farmers Branch ISD. And so I was really lucky to be employed there at R.L. Turner High School for 4 years, and then moved to Creekview High School in the same district for 12, and then moved to Liberty in 2014 and moved to Frisco a year later.
Okay. All right. Awesome. And Tammy, how about you? Where are you originally from, and then how did you end up in Frisco?
Hi guys, so good to see y'all. I grew up in Richardson. So I went to Richardson High School. I'm from this area. My family's from this area. So after my travels through Waco and Austin and New Orleans, I came back home like most people do and settled in first in Plano and had my 2 boys. And my husband and I decided we wanted them to experience Frisco, and we heard the wonderful school system here. So we packed up all our things from Plano and moved to Frisco.
Awesome. So both of you ladies are actually native Texans. That's pretty awesome. I love when I get to meet some of you rare people. So let's go back in time a little bit. I just love hearing stories about like how people, especially artists and musicians, Julie, how you got excited about the arts or your first experience, how it drew you in. So tell us about that.
Sure. Both of my parents are teachers. They taught for 42 years, actually, until retirement. My mom was a gifted and talented math teacher for the majority of her career, and my dad, for the majority of his, taught theater arts and music. So we were inundated by that from a very young age. My sister and I were both in the plays that he directed in elementary school. He was the the pianist at our church, and so music was always a part of our lives from the very, very beginning. I don't remember a time it wasn't.
Yes. Well, music, I was just going to say like this is Annie, right?
Yeah. That red hair used to be the bane of my existence. And I was the same age as Annie when the movie came out in the early 80s, and always in the grocery store, little old ladies would just call me Little Orphan Annie, and I absolutely hated it and was mortified by that. But my parents had to teach me to say graciously, "Thank you very much," and just smile, your hair is so beautiful, and just graciously say thank you. Now I appreciate my red hair, but they definitely taught me how to be gracious at an early age, because I certainly wasn't.
Well, I love that photo of you. I think it just shows that spunk, that you still have. So Tammy, how about you? So you submitted this really awesome picture of you. We have to throw that up there too. Tell us about that photo and and what it meant to you at that time.
Oh my goodness, that little girl right there. She is about to perform, or she just finished, and she's super proud of herself for getting it done. yeah, she was nervous on the inside, but determined on the outside. That's kind of my personality that's kind of carried me forward. You know, even though something feels uncomfortable, you follow your gut and you just jump right in.
Yes. Well, and you know, it's one of those things where you, which we'll hear a little bit about later, how you've had to do that with your business and all kinds of things, especially. So I can't wait to talk about that in a little bit. Julie, let's go back to you. So tell us how you decided you wanted to become a teacher.
I actually knew when I was 5 years old that I was going to be a teacher. I remember being in kindergarten and I was the narrator for our play. And somebody asked me what I wanted to do, and my response without hesitation was to be a teacher. I thought that I would actually be a reading and language arts teacher. That was my plan my entire life until my junior year of high school. And I had several orchestra directors that were truly impactful on my life as a musician, obviously, but personally helped me develop self-confidence. And I decided at that point that my trajectory would change, that I would still be a teacher, but I wanted to teach orchestra. So it was really because of a teacher that I loved.
Wow.
And who loved me.
Yeah. You know, that it's so true. Like the people in your life, especially teachers, make such a huge difference in what you decide that you might be good at or not. But I love that story. And I know you're doing that to other kids too. I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of future orchestra directors because of you. And Tammy, so tell us about your evolution into becoming, you know, interested in health and wellness, and then, you know, I think you said something about in your bio about jazzercise and how all of that fit into your journey.
Oh my goodness. I was the same. I knew right away what I wanted to do. It started when I was 16. You know, as a high schooler, you're trying to find jobs, and I was lucky enough to find a job as an aerobics instructor. And if you can imagine, I don't know if anybody is listening that is as old as I am, but I started teaching jazzercise in 1984, and I was Olivia Newton-John totally. I mean, I had the bandana, I had the leotard, I had the white leggings, I had the pink leg warmers, and I found so much joy in moving and leading others in movement. I started at a small gym. It was an all-ladies gym called Cosmopolitan Lady in Richardson, Texas. And it was 80s all the way. But my manager was female, and she was so inspirational to me. And I remember distinctly the part that kind of lit me up and where I found my passion was this lady that was in the corner, and she was always come to my class. And she came up to me and she brought in my manager, and she wanted to tell my manager that I was the reason that she was coming to Cosmopolitan Lady and working out and feeling good about herself. And I thought, I was, at that moment, I knew exactly I didn't know how I was going to do it. I didn't know what, I just knew that I wanted to make more people feel that way, right? And the fact that she came to my manager and, you know, she lifted me up, it was just, and I was lifting her up, and it was like this win-win. It was awesome. It was awesome.
Yeah.
That's how it started as well.
I love that. Well, and I think, you know, that's once you find what you're passionate about, it's contagious. You know, people pick up on that, they pick up on your tone, your energy, and that's what you're passing on. So I love that.
Yeah.
Julie, for you, you know, in your teaching career, how many students have you taught, like total? And do you have any stories from your teaching where, it's just like they've stuck with you for whatever reason?
Yes, I couldn't even begin to tell you how many. I think I tried to add one time, but let's say you have 160 kids at a time over the course of 4 years, and this is year 22 for me teaching.
Mm.
So I think I think it's probably in the low thousands at this point. So that's what we'll go with.
Wow.
But I certainly, have so many stories and memories, great memories. I think the most rewarding thing truly is how many of those have come on to be some of my best friends. And
Mm.
we might be separated by 7 years or 8 years, or we could be separated by 15 years or 18 years. I think that teaching in the arts and being involved in an arts program is something that is so important and connects you emotionally, unlike any other thing, that it develops and cultivates those personal relationships because you're sharing an intimate part of yourself with somebody else. And I think that that's why it leads to those friendships.
Right.
Currently in Frisco ISD, 5 of my former students or former teachers or student teachers, excuse me, are orchestra directors in Frisco ISD. So I am working with some of my former students and who are coincidentally some of my best friends.
That is so cool. That is really, really awesome. I knew, obviously you knew that I was a violinist, but well, I should say am, not was. But I have
Yes.
some of my best friends are from the world of music, and some of my best memories are in orchestra class and, fooling around behind the conductor's back or making crazy music together. It's just been a huge joy. And I know for sure for Ellie, my oldest, who's, pursuing at Baylor, it's the same thing. I mean, there's just nothing like it when you're in that group and you're all doing something that you love.
So true.
So I just, yeah, yeah. Maybe in another life I will try to be an orchestra director, but actually I don't know if I have the energy.
I think you have energy in spades. So I think you'll be fine.
Well, Tammy, tell us a little bit about how you ended up getting into Barre3 in Frisco and opening it up.
That's a long story. Yeah. Everything that I've done since since Cosmopolitan Lady has kind of led me to Barre3. But so and a lot of it's just really boring. Y'all don't want to hear that. But I like that picture that you showed earlier of that little girl. I was a health coach here in Frisco, and I was taking a course on children's nutrition, and I kept hearing the moms on the course say, I don't have time to work out with this and that. And so the person that was instructing the course was like, you need to try Barre3. They have an online platform. And so I after hearing it over and over and over again, and then also hearing from my clients here in Frisco that were saying they didn't have time to cook a healthy meal. They had to get food on the go because they're, racing around from sports to sports or concert to concert. And I thought, well, let me check this out. Let me check this out for myself. Let me check this out for my clients as well. And I watched 10 minutes of Sadie Lincoln, which is the co-founder. Her and her husband founded Barre3 back in 2008. And she was in the Baryshnikov Center. And she taught a 10-minute class with a ballet instructor. And I fell in love with her messaging. And during the class, the ballet instructor missed a step, and it was like she was commented about it, and she was like, see, even professionals, can not be perfect. And the whole idea of this perfectionism, and I fell in love with everything she was saying. So at that moment, I was 100% in. I looked into franchising, what that meant, and it didn't take me but 10 minutes, and that's it. Jumped in, all both.
Wow. Yes, in fact, we have a picture of you jumping in.
Exactly.
Oh, I love that.
I jump a lot. So what's funny about that picture, though, because going back to just being real, that's probably the last shot in about 20 that we took of me trying to jump, you know. So yeah, there were a lot of bloopers in that.
That's awesome. And so Barre3 is located there at Frisco Square, correct?
Yes, the best place. Yes, so fun.
Wonderful.
Christmas in the square, music in the square, right? Arts in the square. It's all here.
Yes, exactly. Well, we'll learn a little bit more about Barre3 in a minute. Julie, I did want to ask you, going back to you, as a teacher, what would you say is one of your biggest challenges, and how do you handle it? And this is outside COVID-19.
Oh, sure. I think sometimes the connection ability can be the biggest perk, but also the biggest challenge. Sometimes I think that students feel like if their talent level isn't an all-state level, that they may not be important to the musical society or the family that we have. But actually, there's nothing further from the truth. The thing that we want to do the most in orchestra is develop students into better human beings and to love music and to be patrons of the arts, regardless of whether they make all-state orchestra or all-region orchestra or not. If they continue to play in college, that's a tremendous compliment. But if they continue to love music outside of high school and have fond memories, that's the most important. So sometimes I think that can be a challenge for students that maybe aren't at the higher level, that maybe they feel like they don't have a way to contribute, but they do, and there still is a tremendous place for them in our hearts and in our groups.
Yes, I
And
love
in
that
society.
message. Yes, everyone is important, and
Yes.
it's not about being perfect.
Yes.
And you know what? I think that that message is something, even though you're both, Julie and Tammy, you're both doing different things, you're both exhibiting that message in your teaching. You know, you're doing it in your orchestra, Julie, but Tammy, I hear that a lot in what you were talking about with what makes Barre3 special and unique. So can you speak on that a little bit about, what are the special things about Barre3?
Exactly. I'm sitting here listening and I'm like, wow, this is amazing. I love it. Yeah, we are, our core value is everybody matters, and love of learning, and all those things can be applied to the arts as well. And that's kind of what makes kind of Barre3 unique. Is that we have this set of core values, and committed to real is another one. Everybody matters, like I said, giving generously, love of learning. All those are kind of our core values that we hold very dear to us, and we spread that message in our classes as well. And we want people to know that they have a place here that's safe, and they can be vulnerable here, they can be strong here. It's, again, everybody matters, and it's not a cookie cutter exercise. It's not a one size fits all, and we empower each of our clients to kind of look within for their strengths and listen to their bodies in that given moment, and just move with joy. And it's awesome.
I love it. Yeah, moving with joy. So both of you have had, obviously, like everyone else, to deal with COVID-19 coming and disrupting everything. And so for Julie, for your class, and orchestra, and it's practically impossible to play together when you're alone, but somehow you were all able to do that in a video that went viral, and you were one of the first people to create a performance that was virtual but all together. So tell us about how that came together.
Yes, our student officers, we had an officer meeting right after we went into e-learning, and we wanted to find a way to let the rest of the students know we were thinking about them, we missed them, we wished them well, and so we decided to do a snippet of a piece to record and send out. And we had a few titles that we were looking at, but ultimately decided on See You Again. And my colleague, Victoria Lynn, who's just the most incredible human being in person and technology guru, she made like a little click track for us all. And we listened to it and recorded our parts individually and sent to her. And then she developed this really beautiful video of all of our student officers playing. And the sentiment at the end was, about missing and each other and staying safe and staying well until we see each other again. And really, it was just kind of meant for our Liberty Orchestra community. And but it was promoted by the district and then just kind of exploded. But regardless of whether it said, for Liberty Orchestra families, the sentiment is the same worldwide. And that is that we will be together again.
Yeah, I love it. Well, we were able to pull up the video. Anthony, can we play it for everyone to hear and see? Oh, I love it.
Yeah, it was very special. And I'm so thankful to Victoria for taking the time to do that.
Yeah. Well, and I was just amazed because, again, at the very beginning, we were like, what do we do? How do we do anything? And then that came out. I was like, oh my gosh, these brilliant students who were like, we're going to make this happen. We're going to do it. So
it is possible.
Yeah, it is possible. We just have to find a way. So thank you for sharing that. And to your students, if any of them are watching, you guys are rock stars. That was awesome. And I really can't wait till we can actually see orchestras come together again and actually play in person.
Same here.
Yeah, someday. Tammy, I know that you've had to change everything too, and I'm sure it was a big shock for you as a business owner to be like, oh, we got to close, and so tell us a little bit about that thought process and then what came out of it.
Yes, it was quite a shock. And I had probably about one day to kind of wallow, like, what am I going to do? But luckily, Barre3 is a brand, and we have amazing other Barre3 owners worldwide. And we came up with just going live stream, and we were able to turn it around within a week and get our music set up and our headphones and our microphones and lighting and all that best practices, and turned our studio into digital. So we don't really say we're closed. We're still open. We're still providing remarkable classes for our community. And our community has supported us 100%. I've able, just through what we've been able to offer, our members have stayed with us for this whole time, and I am beyond grateful for each and every one of our members. Those hearts behind me there represent each one of my members. Their names are written on those hearts, and it was just a way for me, and just another way for me to show my community how much I appreciate them, and we definitely would not still be here without their support.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that. Well, as you were talking about, you know, your community involvement too, I wanted to have you share more about that. Before COVID-19, there were lots of different ways that you were getting involved with, you know, free outdoor classes, and then the troops, the Toys for Troops. So tell us a little bit
Yes.
more about that too.
So again, part of our core value is to give generously. And so we do give generously back to the community. We provide community free classes. This was a fun outdoor event that we did for our community. And it was really cold that day. And this is another one. This is working with our brand partner, Athleta, and providing just support for Athleta, and they support us as well. And getting out and again, moving together, it's such a powerful thing to do. So throughout the year, we do lots of special events. We also, like you said, the Toys for Troops, that's something we look forward to every year. Right around Christmas time, it's a Frisco Square thing. So all of the tenants of Frisco Square gather toys from their community, and we were lucky enough, our community is just beyond generous, and we all look forward to that. And then they come by and pick it up, and it's so fun. And let's see, what else? We also donate to the school system. We love our teachers. We offer donated classes for their silent auctions. So if anybody is ever interested in that, we'd love to give generously to FISD and all of the other surrounding school systems in our area. So.
Yeah, no, that's wonderful. I love seeing all those photos.
Yeah.
Julie, as far as your involvement in the TMEA and kind of the larger, broader arts community, some people are not familiar with what is TMEA and what does it mean to be a region judge, or so can you share a little bit more about that?
Yes, absolutely. TMEA stands for Texas Music Educators Association, and it is actually the largest music association in the country. The convention happens each February in San Antonio, and thousands upon thousands of music educators from Texas and around the country attend each year. There are always wonderful clinics and clinicians. The all-state performances happen, the all-state band, choir, and orchestra. There are invited groups, invited orchestras and bands and choirs that perform, elementary choirs, everything. It is the most
Amazing.
incredible association I've ever heard of. And it's incredible to go down there to be amongst thousands of other music educators. It's so inspiring and encouraging and uplifting. There's really nothing else like it in the country.
I didn't realize it was the largest in the country.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Impressive. Everything's bigger in Texas.
It is.
Gosh, you know, when you think about it, I wonder how in the future something like that can go on, right? A huge conference with thousands upon thousands of people, plus performances. I mean, it just makes my heart kind of hurt because I'm like, gosh, I hope that we can get back to normal by next February and you can still go and perform and do all these things. I mean, this is sort of just my random question to you is, what do you think will have to change, or what will it take for orchestras to come back together, even when you think about like the fall and your students, to do it safely and in compliance with social distancing?
No, it's true. And that's something that, we've been discussing early on as a district, and it's a little scary to think about any of us not seeing our kids in person, for a bit. I know that TMEA is already thinking ahead, like what happens with this situation? How do we do all state auditions? How do we do all kinds of things?
Right.
So there's definitely something looking ahead. I mean, our conferences this summer were canceled. Our in-person conferences for band, choir, and orchestra, TODA, TBA, and TCDA were canceled. They did that last week. So we will have virtual conferences with regard to that. But those didn't have performances by students or anything like that. So it, while disappointing, and I think we all miss not being together, it's probably a little bit easier to pull off virtually than something as large as TMEA in February. So when and if it happens, I know that it will be without a doubt the most joyous occasion. If those, concerts are able to happen, those all-state orchestra band and choir concerts, that it will be the most stirring and moving and magical experiences probably that we've ever had, because music is such a way to come back together after something like this that's kept us apart for so long.
I know, gosh, I think everybody will be in tears, the performers, the audience, the conductor.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I do love to ask all of our guests some general, questions on best advice, and then of course another of our favorite questions. So the first question would be, what is the best advice that you've ever received, and who was it from? What were the circumstances? So Julie, why don't we start with you?
Oh gosh, I looked at this question and I was like, oh, I have no idea what to even say with regard to this one. You know, I think I would just say the best advice that I got was actually just the way that my parents lived their professional life. So I don't know that it was any verbal advice, but leading by example from them of how to love their job and to love their students. And I remember growing up, somebody knocking at the door of our house and answering it, and it was some random student that they had had from years before who knew where they lived. Obviously, this was a different time period where we would answer a door for a random person, but where we lived, and they wanted to come by and see Mr. and Mrs. B, who loved them so well. And I think that even though it wasn't a verbal advice, just seeing how they lived their personal and professional lives was what inspired me to do the same, if that makes sense.
Yes, I love that. No, I love that. And great job, parents. I mean, that you
Yes,
can,
they are wonderful.
Yeah. Tammy, how about for you? What's the best advice you've ever received?
I think I was in the same boat. I don't remember. I was like, what in the world? I've received so much advice in my life. But I think one piece of advice that does resonate with me, and it's kind of followed me throughout my career, is just trust your gut. And I can't even remember who told me that. I know that we speak it a lot in the Barre3 owner community. Go with your gut, trust your gut, because that is always where truth lies. And so that's pretty much my best advice that I keep referring back to, probably on a daily basis. Just trust your gut, right?
I love that. Julie, just wanted to let you know that Paul Blackstock, is that your dad?
Yes.
We're watching.
Yes, they're in Gunnison, Colorado right now. Yeah, so.
Hey, welcome, Dad. And Tammy, also, there was someone, Melanie said that your ballet story had her hooked from when you were talking about how you got into it. So I love that. Sally Kirk, Julie and Victoria. And Lena says she loves the way that even with all this craziness, our arts community still gets together. which is so true. So, well, here's my all-time favorite question that I like to ask our guests is what would your current self tell your younger self and why? So, Julie, let's start with you.
Oh gosh. Oh, um, and this was a kind of an emotional question to look at and to contemplate back on, and something that I
Mm-hmm.
try to share with my students now. I think it's important for them to know that we are human and we have struggles the same as they do. But I think that my current self would tell my young self, um, love yourself early on, love
Mm,
yourself, and know that you're impactful in ways that are unseen to many, but maybe to just a few. So, and that's something that I share my kids with my students now is also don't wait until you're 45 to live your dream and your life, but
yeah.
start early and live it early and love yourself early.
Oh, I love it. It's making me tear up, Julie.
Sorry.
But that's so true.
Yeah.
And I know your kids, I know that they love you so much because you're that raw and honest with them every day. So I can see why you're just a beloved teacher.
Oh, well, thank you.
Absolutely. Tammy, how about for you? What would your current self tell your younger self and why?
Um, Such a great question. I would tell my younger self to keep going. The road is going to be difficult and challenging at times, but ultimately so worth it.
Mm,
So
yes.
that would be it. Yeah.
Keep
Just
going. Don't
simple.
stop.
Just really simple.
But you know what? Simple but powerful because right now people are thinking about giving up. I mean, it's really, really hard to continue on uh, to be even just, doing what you were doing. Everything's changing, and even feeling positive or working on something for yourself. It's very hard. So that message is simple, but it's definitely necessary right now.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. So we have a special, I guess, interactive opportunity for all of us to try something from Barre3. And I know that, well, actually, why don't you tell us, Tammy, a little more about the breathing and some of the things that you're doing, and then what we're going to actually do together.
Yeah, so Barre3 is a full body balanced workout that combines cardio, strength training, and mindfulness. So we're going to do the mindfulness part together. So I don't know if you want me to go ahead and get started. Oh yeah, this was brought up on just recently on Instagram. I think it's part of something we've put out as a company, and so important right now because life out there is just coming at us, and especially right now, there's a lot going on with people's views and just realizing and coming into yourself is so important. And it's times that you can just let go of all the negativity that's out there and just, shut your computer and take a moment and just breathe. And at the end of every class, we do about a couple of minutes of deep breathing, and it's an exercise. So it's not really like a meditation per se. It's more just exercising our breath muscles and helping our bodies kind of reduce stress, the cortisol levels. We have a high energy class, thumping music, and some really challenging postures in the class. And so at the end, we take that time just to allow our bodies just to kind of absorb what we just did by focusing on breath work. So We can go through that now if you like, Tammy.
All right, so I'm not wearing a tank top and I'm not in aerobic gear, but I still think we can all try the breath work because we all need it. So yes, I'm ready.
Yes.
Tell us what we need to do.
All right. Well, it's not the most entertaining watching thing to do. So all of y'all out there, just find a comfortable position wherever you are. It can be sitting down, maybe on the couch or at a table. It can be outside. You could be in your car. Just kind of get comfortable in your seat. Kind of feel yourself nice and heavy. And then close your eyes. Just take a moment and feel your body just get nice and heavy. And the breath work that we'll practice today is called 2 times breath. And so slowly inhale through your nose for 4, 3, 2, 1. And then we exhale for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. And then again, inhale for 4. Nice and big, let your belly lift. And then exhale for 8. Nice and slow. Let all the air come out. And then again, inhale for 4, 3, 2. Let your lungs expand. And then exhale for 8, 7, 6. Nice and slow. Notice your breath. Notice your heart rate. And we'll just do one more together. Inhale for 4, 3, 2. Nice big exhale out your mouth for 8. I can hear you breathe all the way out. And then just slowly blink your eyes open and just feel calmer, right? It's just, we probably should have done this before our meeting.
Oh my God.
So it's a practice that can be, it's a practice that can be done anywhere. Anytime you feel a little bit stressed or needing just a moment to yourself. And I think, you know, as humans, we probably do this already. Like, haven't you sat out in your car before like a big meeting or something and you're like, okay, I just need a moment before we go in, right? And so I think you naturally kind of bring yourself inward, take that deep breath and come back to what truly matters, and that's your breath and your heart, all of that. So I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Thank you so much for leading us through that. And it's a good reminder, you know, breathing is something we normally do, but sometimes we literally forget to breathe because we're tense and nervous. And I've heard nervousness is just excitement without breath. So the whole idea of breathing is it's very, very important, even though we would think it's just natural. So thank you for that. I'm going to do that a few more times today. And I might fall asleep in my car. Who knows? We'll see. I just so appreciate both of you ladies sharing with us your journeys and also how you've been dealing with things, you know, in this crazy new world. And then your advice for all of us as we move through. So thank you for being so open and honest and real. And I just love hearing, even, you know, we didn't know that there were so many different similarities, but I love hearing those too as you guys were speaking.
Yes.
So thank you both.
Thanks for having us.
Of course, of course.
Nice. Thank you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And Tammy's got to run and teach a live stream class, so we got to make sure she gets there on time. But if you enjoyed, oh, by the way, did you see these? These are from another artist friend of mine. I just, you know, they came up on the screen, so I wanted to show you. People are so creative. I love having creative friends. If you love Ladies Who Launch, we hope to have you back. You know, it's, who knows, you might actually have a summer edition with all of the newness happening. So just go to friscoarts.org to support us and to sign up for anything else that we're doing. In the future, again, we've got our Arts Exchange this Thursday at noon, and then next Tuesday, our Department Spotlight. And of course, you can join us for some fun at the Quarantini on Wednesday. So until we meet again in person, I'm sending you a big virtual hug. Thanks to Anthony Barocas and to Lori McCagran, our presenting sponsor. Take care of yourselves and each other. We'll see you next time.